guys. Great to have you with us for the 5th RTD that we've been putting out. We've been going for over a month. It should be pretty impressive for us. Oh, I need my notes. I don't know why you're all
It's a level of concentration our group has rarely
buddy.
achieved.
other notes, all the white index stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Almost unheard of for us to have this level of concentration.
It's honestly impressive.
Super
All right.
impressive.
And so with me today, from Deepkin to Moonclan Gratz, he's played it all. Sean on the very end.
Hi guys.
Next to Sean, if Glockkin had a long-lost brother, it would be Kevin.
Hey guys.
And then next to me, because 3 colors and base makes you garbage person.
Stand by what I said.
And I'm your host, John. So welcome to the show. If you haven't been here before, what we do is we're going to go through the community segment at the very beginning of the show, and this is we're going to be talking about things that inspired us this week, as well as either unit reviews or entire army reviews that people send in to us. So this week we've got a unit. Last week we had an entire army. So then we're going to go into the actual roundtable discussion, which is I'm going to ask the panel 3 questions about our topic. And they're going to answer it, hopefully, in an enjoyable way. And then there's, at the very end, there's the outlandish prediction question, which nobody knows until I say it. So, this week's topic for the RTD itself is Age of Sigmar 2nd edition. It's on its way. It should be here this month because it's June now, technically.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, when
And
this goes out.
So we're going to be talking about the changes that we've already had spoiled on the Warhammer community page for us. So no leaks, nothing like that, just actual spoilers that GW's put out. I actually haven't seen any leaks come out, which is like super impressive. I also haven't heard anything about the White Dwarf that comes out on Friday. Like usually you get to see pictures of that beforehand, but not so far. So going right into the community page, our community segment, we first have our Eidolon Deepkin winner for May. Edeneth.
I'm going to clarify one more time because you said it in the video like last week or during a battle report. You're like, oh, I don't know why I keep calling it that.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so Edeneth Deepkin Battle Tome was for May. We have a winner. His YouTube handle is Chris Boztick. And so, congratulations to
Yes. Good job, guys.
So, go ahead, send us a personal message on the YouTube channel, or I will try to get a hold of you on YouTube, and we'll work out getting that out to you.
Yep.
And this month, because we're doing Age of Sigmar 2 as well as the General's Handbook, we're going to be giving away a copy of each. So, be sure to subscribe to the channel and then comment on any of the videos. We like reading comments on the battle reports, or if you want to answer any of the questions that we cover in the RTD, you can go ahead and do that, and you're immediately entered. As long as you comment and subscribe, you're entered into a chance to win either of the books. So somebody's going to win the General's Handbook 2018, and somebody's going to win Age of Sigmar 2.
And to clarify, is it if you comment on that month's videos or any videos that we've ever put out?
This month's only.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
only
make sure
moving
you
forward
time frame.
June's.
Yep. The June videos.
Anything that gets posted in June, you can comment on, and that'll submit you, as well as multiple comments on multiple videos give you multiple submissions. So the more you comment, the better chance you have of winning.
Yep.
Just make sure you're subscribed.
Yep. And if Age of Sigmar 2 doesn't have a physical book, we're going to do 2 General's Handbooks. And this is brought to you by our sponsor. Very exciting. We actually have our first sponsor.
Yeah.
It's going to be Chaos Orc Superstore, and I'll leave a link in the description if you guys need anything. They have a great selection of Age of Sigmar models as well as other GW products. They carry pretty much every game system, as well as paints, dice, terrain, and merchandise. They have shirts and stuff. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Thank you.
They also have really fast shipping, so that's always great too.
They're East Coast located, so if you're looking for somebody a little bit closer to you on the East Coast, they're great for shipping times. I ordered from them and I got my stuff over the weekend. I ordered it on Friday and I got it Monday. So I was really happy with that ship time. And they're going to be providing the price support going forward. So big thanks to them for helping out the channel. And again, the link will be in the description box down below, chaosorg.com. And be sure to leave the 10th Realm sent us in the item or the additional notes section of the checkout, and that helps us out a lot. So
yeah.
All right. So starting with Sean, what was something that got you motivated this week that you found on the internet somewhere?
Motivated. So on the Age of Sigmar, I think it's Fan Network is what it's called now on Facebook. Patterson Liang, he posted this really awesome diorama. I think he's submitting for competition. And it's the dueling entry, and it was really awesome. Basically, it's a Stormcast and a Blood Reaver from Horned Bloodbound, and they're dueling, but he did a really awesome job with OSL Lava and Nighttime effect on it. Check out the description below for the link. It's definitely worth a look.
Yeah.
And good luck to him when he enters it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we again don't have an editor this week, so all of the community segments will be listed in the description box below, and I'll be sure to tag the person who suggested it. So Sean will have the link to his suggestion, and then Kevin and Amanda. So Kevin, what did you see online?
So, as these guys know, I've been having a little bit of a struggle with getting all my Nurgle done. So, seeing this by Craig Morrison, it's one of the little armature knights, the little ones.
Baby knights.
Yeah, but he did it all up in Nurgle. He did a great job with green stuff, and he kind of savaged a Great Unclean One kit. Used the Bile Blade for his hand weapon, some horns on it. It was pretty cool. Again, the description is going to be the link is going to be in the description below. You can go and check out the picture. But that's what got me really motivated this week.
Great, Amanda.
And I found a website called calamity.com, and the person that runs it makes all of these really awesome custom-built mechs. So all these different types of like machine monster things kind of remind me of like some of the aesthetic from like Scythe, but the weathering on all of the stuff was like spot on, really hot. So that's what got me excited this week.
I was just paranoid that the mic was off for a second. I just wanted to double check before we got too deep. All right, great. So thanks for looking up those community things. And again, everything will be linked down below and the names and everything. So again, I apologize that we can't pull you up this week if we were mentioned, but we'll try and work on getting that done in the future. So moving on to our review section in the community. And this is to help out people who comment on the YouTube channel. Feel free to comment an army list that you want us to take a look at, and we'll try to deconstruct it and give you some notes on it. Across the table, we've pretty much all played every Sigmar army probably, so we have some idea of how they work, and then we are also pretty up to date on tournament standings and how yours would work in a tournament. So even though Age of Sigmar 2 is coming out, send us your lists and we'll try to get a look at them. When we don't have a list to look at though, we're going to take a look at a specific war scroll, and I pick one at random and I tell these guys to take a look at it and give us their opinion on it. And this week is going to be the Squig Gaba. And so we're going to start with Kevin. Your opinions on the Squig Gaba.
So, I'm not a huge fan of it, actually. I don't like how slow it moves. It was pretty cool that it doesn't need line of sight to shoot at something. And the shooting's pretty decent, but what really stops me up is that it can't make charge moves or pile-in moves. And why it really stops me up is because there are some units that if they charge, they get the bonus. So if you can't charge them, they'll always get the bonus on that model. That and 5 wounds with a 5-up save isn't meh. All in all, it's decent. I wouldn't run it though.
Okay, Amanda.
I was also not a huge fan of this. It's 140 points for one model, and like Kevin said, it has 5 wounds and a 5-up save. It also only has 4 bravery, so if you took them as I don't know if you can take them as a unit. No. Oh. All right, so I guess the bravery for a single model isn't really that big of a deal, but
spells and abilities. That's
yeah,
pretty easy to roll
true.
over.
Yeah, so I wasn't a big fan of that. And then, like Kevin said, the not being able to move and charge was pretty big, especially when, for me, the only good attack it had was the Cavernous Maw, and that only has a 1-inch range. But that's the only attack you're going to get any rend on. But still not, I mean, a decent amount of damage. It's 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2 rend, and then D3 damage, so that's not too bad, but All in all, I kind of just felt like it was a big useless piece of artillery. So,
Mm-hmm.
my
Right.
take on it.
Sean, what did you think?
Well, to clarify, the Squid Gob is for Forge World model. So if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. The mini's pretty cool.
That is its one
Yeah,
redeeming
that is
quality.
really cool.
Yep. It has the Moon Clan keyword, which is kind of nice. Not that that matters right now, but potentially in the future, if they get a book, we'll see.
Hashtag that.
Yeah. To go over the shooting a little bit more, Kevin said it doesn't require line of sight, which is nice. It's range 18, which is pretty decent for shooting. That's pretty close to what most of the shooting ranges are. It has 2d6 attacks, so your average is going to be 7. And it's hitting on 4s, unless it does not move, then it's hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s, no rend, but it does d3 damage each. I think the main reason to take it is really because it ignores line of sight, but in most events, there's not a lot of line of sight blocking terrain anyway. Everybody else kind of touched on it. It's pretty weak in terms of its just overall stat block. One thing I thought that was kind of nice that no one touched on is that it is artillery, but it does not have a crew. So if someone's gonna focus fire at it, they can't just kill 3 little Moon Clan goblins in the back and then have it just sit there the rest of the game. So I mean that's something.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yep. I don't think I have a use for it in my list, but I mean I'd run it just because it's a cool mini. It's pretty neat.
It's a super cool model.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that to keep in mind though is that it is an 18-inch range, but almost every deployment has a 12-up deployment zone. And if your opponent's on the 12-inch line, which most armies deploy on the 12-inch line, and you deploy this guy on the 12-inch line, you're basically touching first turn. Like, there's very...
You'd have to go second, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, so bottom of turn 1, you'll be able to be in range with it, so you're getting at least 1 turn of shooting in with it before it dies. The points are a little bit too high, and I think that could be just generically said about destruction. I think they're pretty much overpriced across the board for what they do. This seems to be a case of way too many restrictions and not enough reward. Like high risk, high reward units have their place, and this is all risk and very little reward. If this had rend on it, like if this was 2d6, 4s, 3s, and -2 rend,
That'd be a different story.
right? Like you change the rend profile. I think is where this honestly hurts the most. Is it's a massive shooting attack at mid range with no rend, and the things that you're going to be wanting to shoot with D3 damage are going to have good armor save. Like you want to shoot Liberator or Decimators or Fulminators or any of those Maters. They're running around with a 4-up save. Currently, they get Mystic Shield for a 3-up. They can get the Wording Lantern for a 2-up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just wasting shots at them at some point. As somebody who recently just played against 2-up, rerolling 1 armor saves with Glade Guard that hit on 4s, wound on 4s, but they have 20 shots, I didn't do wounds most of the time. Like, the no rend really is what I think hurts this unit the most, unfortunately. So if I was to improve the unit, I would say at least -1 rend and a slight points reduction, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add about the Squig Gaba?
No.
Other than it is a really awesome model.
It is a really cool model.
I don't really see its place anywhere. Which brings us into the discussion segment of the show, because I think we're all wrapped up. We did winner of the Deepkin book. We talked about the next prize support. We talked about our sponsor. We talked about what inspired us and our review. So, moving in to the roundtable discussion. And this is, again, the topic is all of the spoilers that we've been getting from Warhammer community. Spoilers from Warhammer community, no leaks. So if you've seen anything online that's not from Warhammer community, we're not talking about it. It's just spoilers of what we can find on the Warhammer community page. So question 1, we're going to start with Amanda. Please pick one of the spoilers that you've been given so far and read it aloud so that we all know exactly what it is. And then explain why you think this change or addition to Age of Sigmar and Age of Sigmar 2.0 is going to get you excited.
So I actually have two. The first one was released today, and they talked about it in the Artifacts of the Realms. And it was specifically the Beast Caller's Bones. It's an artifact that you can give one of your heroes. And at the start of the combat phase, you roll a die for each monster that's within 3 inches of the bearer. And then on a 5-up, the monster being rolled for can't attack this phase. If the monster is a mount, the rider can still attack. But I thought that was kind of a really cool thing, because monsters are more often than not something you really don't want. You absolutely have to deal with them, but you really don't want to be in combat with them. They're generally pretty nasty. And then another thing that they talked about in that article was they were specifically talking about conversions and coming from the hobby aspect. I thought that was pretty exciting. And then my second spoiler would be the Sylvaneth rundown that we got, tying into that, the free summoning. So I think that going forward, Alariel is going to be seeing a lot of play, because she basically just went down 200 points. She's a 600 point model, and she can summon a free Tree Lord now, so I thought that was pretty awesome.
Sure. Good.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right, John, take it away.
Okay, well, I think I was very skeptical about the endless spells we were hearing, and now as we've kind of gotten more and more into it, I think they're going to be fantastic and add a neat element to the game. So, the quick rundown: endless spells are a new kind of magic that range from predatory magics that indiscriminately annihilate anything in their path to utility spells that provide cover against ranged attacks or heal your units. I think they're going to be great. They cast like normal spells. But instead of just having the spell go off, you're actually going to place a physical model that they're going to sell, and that will have an effect and influence the way you play and your opponent plays. So basically, the mini stays on the table until it's dispelled, and you can do that in place of casting a spell. And then I thought the most interesting thing about it is that you move it before the start of the battle round, and you can actually have your opponent potentially move it because they're so random in nature. And I think that is going to add a whole nother aspect to the who gets the first turn, because that's how it's based off of who gets to pick it. The player that has the second turn that round gets to move this spell first, no matter who casted it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And real quick before we get to Kevin, I love that they're making spells physically represented on the board. Somebody in R&D looked at a table at a tournament, and they're like, okay, so what can we do to make the game look more visually appealing? Because tournaments are very restricted based on the terrain that they can provide. If you're getting, not to name drop, we've seen certain tournaments in recent memory who put clean, non-painted styrofoam on the table. Like, that's the extent of it. If you're getting 100, 120 plus people showing up for your tournament, you can't put terrain on the table for everybody. So it's very sparse. As Sean has run tournaments, I've run tournaments, you have to be very thoughtful about how much terrain you put on each table so that you can make it stretch. And somebody in R&D was like, this is fantastic. Let's give Battle Tomes specific terrain so that it fills out the table more. Make the players bring the terrain to the tournament. And now somebody was still there and like, it's not enough. Let's make spells physically on the table and have them interact with units, but not necessarily be units. And I think it's a terrific idea to make the tables look way cooler. Mm-hmm. Because having that purple sun running around the table is going to look awesome. All right, Kevin, what did you have for us?
So I had the changes to free summoning. If anybody didn't know, it's the big change for match play is summoning now no longer costs reinforcement points. Instead, you earn summoning units with in-game actions. And in a previous video, I actually talked about contagion points and how they were basically useless because you still had to pay reinforcement points for possibly something that would never see the table. So I think it's really cool that, you just got, let's say, 21 contagion points. Now you have a free 10-man Plague Bearer squad, or free 20-man, I forget which one it is. But it's really cool to see that, oh, well, now these things actually do something. Or with Khorne Bloodbound, I believe they have to kill units to actually get something. And with Seraphim, there's the Engine of the Gods that you have a chance.
They got a new thing on their Spotlight. It's
they?
not the Engine of the Gods anymore. I don't remember, because I don't play Wizards. I don't know
Okay.
what it was.
It's basically Astrolith bearers. Now people are going to want to bring the Saurus Astrolith bearers. And the Slann, instead of casting one of his spells, can like make a ritual.
Yeah, and he gets
And
3
they get
celestial
points,
points.
yeah.
And then you can use
okay.
the celestial points to set up a unit near the Slann or the banner.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then that is how so you have you forfeit a spell in exchange to, and I don't even think it was a spell. I think it was you just can't cast that turn,
Okay.
right? Which
There's one or the other.
yeah, I don't remember which it
I
was,
don't
but
play
that's
Seraphim,
that's
so-
like a big deal with the Slann, who can throw out. I'm pretty sure 3 spells. I know for sure it's 2.
Yeah,
but it might be 3.
I think it's 3.
Like that's a big sacrifice to get the summoning abilities. So.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I just thought that was pretty cool.
Sure, yeah.
Definitely.
Summoning is going to be really good. I'm not saying it's going to be really good competitively, but it's going to feel better, I think.
Yeah.
Because like right now, it's basically a way to redeploy units because you have to pay for them.
Yes.
So if you want to sit down at the table with 1,500 points, you basically can set 500 points aside and redeploy them where they need to be. But now with the way that summoning is going to work, it's going to be you're bringing your full army to the table, and then through these various mechanics, whether it be once per game, killing opponents, or forfeiting something to be able to summon something, it's going to feel a lot more like actually summoning. I'm going to cite Undead. Undead, having to pay for the units that you bring back was always weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, of all the armies in Sigmar, Undead, and it might be just because I played fantasy for so long, Undead should just be an endless wave. It's a grind, and you need to get through them and get to the casters to be able to stop it. And it's 100% gonna feel like that on the table now. If you're not killing heroes, these guys are just going to continuously be replenishing entire units now, which I think it honestly just makes me really excited to play an Undead army now. Where before it was, I don't really want to bring Nagash because he's going to limit my army so much, but now it's basically Nagash is going to be keeping my army alive the entire game, which is going to be a lot of fun from an Undead perspective. And I think there was a lot, maybe not, I don't know. I didn't really see a ton of concern about summoning breaking the game.
I think they've been pretty thoughtful with the ways in which you will be able to summon things in every army.
Yeah, because the way that summoning is now, if you said just ignore points, just put them on the table, nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Like that is immediately, any army that can summon is a top tier army. Just hands down, no questions asked. But because you have these restrictions, it's a really great design space too, because these are things that can be tweaked in General's Handbook. Oh, we're seeing that Sylvanas are still not taking Alariel, so the next General's Handbook that we release, maybe she can set it up twice a game now. It's like just sliding the dials incrementally instead of these huge like just complete changes are the way that you should try to design a game. So I'm super happy with something.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it.
You look like you have something to say.
I will, but not until we get to the next.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go into question 2 then.
Oh wait, I had one more thing to say. Speaking of the Seraphim and the way if they're going back to endless spells, if they are neglecting a round of spells in order to bring things on and summon them, that's also really big because they would also be neglecting getting rid of an endless spell potentially.
Okay. So question number 2. Please pick one of the spoilers that we've gotten from the Warhammer community page. You read it aloud to the group so that we know what we're just talking about. And then explain why this change or addition has you concerned. This doesn't mean that you're this doesn't mean that you don't like the change. It's just something that could be uncomfortable to play against in a tournament. And we're going to start with Sean.
Okay, so mine was summoning, which Kevin's already touched on, but just another quick rundown is there's no more reinforcement points. Through other actions in the game, you generate points, whatever they're called. via each army, and then you use those to bring in a unit that's predetermined by the amount of points they have. So like the Plague Bearers are 7 contagion points and you get 5 of them. So the reason I'm apprehensive about it, I inherently don't think it's bad. The few times that we have already tried to break summoning by specifically writing lists, is you cannot inherently right off the bat just start summoning models in. And I actually think that would be better versus the way they have it set it up now, which is late game, you're going to have enough points to bring units in. And this is why I'm apprehensive about it. The way the whole double turn was structured, in my opinion, I think was kind of, when the game came out, to help balance a little bit if when people were just setting up their armies, if someone was a little bit underpowered, they always had a chance to come back. They have changed a little bit with turn priority, but I won't touch on that since someone else might be talking about it. So I think having that turn priority potentially helping balance a player who is being defeated early game and is getting these double turns and trying to come back is now not a valid point because of all these books having the potential to be racking up their points, and if they are already in a position to win or a major victory, they can now just crush you because they will be bringing these units on and you can't deal with it anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's why I am still apprehensive about summoning and how they are dealing with it now.
That actually brings about a really, really good point, John. I'm super impressed that you thought it out that much already. Like, gold star.
I appreciate it.
Because I didn't think about it of how swingy it could be.
Yeah.
That's the Lizardman player is winning 11-8 and it's turn 4, and they just drop 30 more Saurus warriors on the table on an objective and it's over. Like, you don't have enough resources left to deal with that. And the first thing while you're saying that, I'm like, what would be really cool is that if anything that you put on the table had the summonable keyword, and your wizards could dispel them.
Ooh.
Like, you could have that fail-safe mechanism. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the swing that summoning could do is actually something that I didn't think about.
We'll see,
nice.
but especially when most of them, if not all, I believe that have come out, you are also limited by range. So like the grave sites, I think there has to be it's 9 inches, so
within
enemy,
9 of a token and outside of 9 of
an enemy.
Yeah.
So yes, people are arguing, you just run a unit over there to sit on it to stop it. But A, that's a unit not participating in other things if it's a melee unit, and B, if you don't do that and they are already crushing you, then just a unit will pop up and nothing you can do. Late game, I'm talking about.
And especially because they're not in fixed points on the battlefield, the controlling player gets to place them. So you look at the mission that it is, and you put your grave sites on objectives, and then the one that has to be in your opponent's deployment zone on an objective, and then it's going to change how Undead works, but I think of all of the armies that I've looked at for summoning, Undead is the one that I think is going to abuse it the most, because there is no inherent cost other than your unit is already dead. Mm-hmm. So that's a situation of, because you have to attack in Sigmar, you can't just leave units around if you're fighting them. You have to kill them if it's, unless you're leaving right. But I mean, like that's by itself is a huge detriment that is valuable. You're running away from 3 guys, forfeiting your turn basically with that unit is devastating, could be. So we'll have to see how it shakes out, but Sean, you made some great points about how it could actually be a very swinging mechanic, and I'm super impressed. Kevin?
So I said shooting in the new edition, and I'm not even really detrimental to it, it's just different. So it's shooting in the new edition is changing slightly, where you'll still be able to shoot while in combat, but you won't be able to shoot out of it. I believe it's a 3-inch range that you'll be able to shoot into. So pretty much if you're already in combat, you're going to be shooting at the unit you're in combat with. Which is a big hit to, I believe we talked about, Caradron Overlords, which is, I don't want to say a primarily shooting army, but
The majority of
the
it.
majority of
I
it
mean,
is.
and I think it's going to be a lot more shooty with the across-the-board point reductions in boats.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to push
Yeah.
them to be a shooty army.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I want to touch on, Kevin, that you didn't mention is shooting also now is a -1 penalty to hit heroes.
Oh yeah.
So,
If you're within 3 inches of a.
yeah, of a friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's there are multiple penalties to shooting in the new edition.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. If you have more to add.
I forgot what I was gonna say. So.
Well, okay, if you
Yeah,
remember,
yeah.
jump back into it because I'm going to touch on.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
My concern with shooting would be that if they are doing these detrimental things to shooting, are they going to decrease the points to shooting? And if that means that a unit of handgunners goes from 10 guys for 100 points, or whatever they were, dropping it down to 10 guys for 80 points, is that going to be enough of a point reduction that just spam shooting gunline castle armies are going to come out? Like, sure, you have negative to hits, but if you're getting a 20% decrease across the board on the things that you're bringing
Yeah.
to shoot,
Overwhelming numbers will
yeah,
help.
is an issue.
Handgunners are first edition, John. This edition's crossbows.
Oh, okay.
Yep. They released the
Heard it here first.
free guild. Is that what they're called now?
Yeah.
Free people.
Faction,
Free people.
free people faction focus.
Yep.
Who cares about penalties when you're hitting on 2s and wounding on 2s? People will have already heard about it by the time this video goes out.
Just saying,
I'll leave it at
okay.
that.
All right. So Wednesday, timestamp 7 o'clock on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Sean thinks that it's all going to be about the crossbows.
Yep.
All right. Remember anything, Kevin? Sorry, I cut you
Nope.
off.
Don't
Just want
worry.
to add in that the shooting to heroes penalty is actually, I think, a little bit worse.
It's all right.
All right, Amanda.
So the one thing that I'm a little bit apprehensive about would be the endless spells. I'm particularly apprehensive about the ones that are just gonna spam mortal wounds on my units. Again, to go over it, endless spells, you're able to summon a model to the table. It persists there until it's dispelled. Wizards choose to do this instead of normal casting, and then players are going to take turns moving them around the table, with the second player picking the person going second picking the first endless spell to move. But basically, there are a couple of different persistent spells that are just going to slam mortal wounds into your units when they cross over it, and that has me a little bit apprehensive and frightened. I think some of the other ones are kind of cool. There's like some spells that will provide cover, some that are going to provide healing. I like those a little bit more, even if my opponent would get the benefit of a spell that I cast that healed. The endless ones are a little bit, the mortal wound endless ones are a little bit, I don't like that as much. So that's one thing I'm apprehensive about.
Okay. And I don't think anywhere it said that endless spells are unique, right? You can only cast the spell once per game or once per turn because of Rule 1, but you could just drop another Purple Sun next turn, couldn't you? Like in
Not
theory.
that I've seen.
I read the
so-
rules for them today, the war scrolls that they previewed, and it didn't say anything about it being
Yeah.
absolutely unique.
So,
I'm assuming the only limit would be
Purple
if you have the
Death
models
Star.
or not. But it
Yeah.
would be very
Sure.
comical if two players came across each other and there were just like 4 or 5
yeah, it's
purple
like,
suns
like
flying
hungry
around.
hippos.
Yeah,
Like-
and Amanda made a good point is that you do go back and forth when
Yeah.
you are choosing models. So the person going second moves the first one, and then the other person moves the second one until they've all moved. I think,
Yeah.
right, was what it was?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, going back to question 1 real quick about positives, nobody touched on the change to the double turn. Anybody have anything to add to that? The ties go to the person who went first last time instead.
The community page I think said it's like a 16% chance less that there will be double turns.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's said on there.
Yeah.
I don't.
Right, because it should be, what's the probability of rolling 2 6s on 2 dice? It's 1 in 36. So it should be 1 in 36 chances of you avoiding a double turn, right?
I don't know.
Right? Isn't that how, that's how statistics
Well-
work?
There's
Because you roll 2 dice.
yeah,
The odds on that are 1 in 36. They will both come up
1 in
sixes.
6, and then 1 in 6 on the
Right,
other
and
die.
then you do
Yeah.
across ones, and then across the bottoms is 36, right? That's how statistics works. I haven't done that in
I took
8 years.
statistics in grad school, but
Right?
math is not my forte.
It would, according to the community page is correct, that would be 16% if it's 2 and 12.
What?
Because it's still a 60%.
Oh, no,
it's a 5 and 36.
Yeah, it's actually,
Oh.
it's a 5 and 36 chance. I don't get how that is right. Evidently, I'm just stupid, but 13.889%, so 14% reduction.
They must have rounded up a lot.
Yeah,
I'll double
right.
check the article.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Again, I think it's kind of interesting. We just
No, that's
played.
to roll a 6. Total.
The probabilities of a 6-sided die. On
Yeah.
one die, it's 16% chance you'll roll a 6.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then on 2 dice, to roll a 6,
It's
because now it's
13.
on a roll of a 7. On 1 die, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not correct.
But that's rolling 2 dice.
To get a 6
Yeah.
Yeah.
total out of 2 dice.
Oh, okay.
Pull up Settlers of Catan. Because that specifically shows the chances of.
There, okay. What is the
Of rolling
probability
2.
of rolling a double on 2 fair dice? Is 6 out of 36, so 1/6. There are 6 ways the dice can roll, or probability. of
Well, me and
6.
Kevin,
Yeah.
while John figures that out, we actually just played
This is important now.
Moonlight Goblins versus
Nurgle.
Kevin's Mannequin. And that whole game, except for the 4th into 5th turn, I was going first and Kevin going second.
Mm-hmm.
And that final turn, I don't want to give out any spoilers, but there was that one only double turn. So my point being is that the fact that it's now easier for just gonna be I go, you go, and then I go, you go, without the double turn.
And I think we did roll. for
We
one
did roll
turn,
a
and
tie.
We did roll
Yes,
a tie.
We did roll a
so,
tie. Kind of like what I said before, is if that was kind of the balancing mechanic between potentially having an army come back, and now it's not gonna be that way. It has a reduced chance of the double turn. Could be potentially negative if someone is already being steamrolled.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, the probability of rolling snake eyes, double ones on 2 fair dice, is 1 in 36. And then 36 as a percentage is 2.7%. So something somewhere, unless I'm missing what they were trying to get at, we're missing 14% somewhere between the two. Yeah, so either way, 16%, 3%, whatever. I think it's a negligible amount. I don't think it's like
yeah,
either
something
way,
like that.
right? They're saying, so we'll take the Warhammer community page and we'll assume that they know how to do math better than I do. 16% is a 1 out of every 6 turns. Is it going to be a double turn? Less than before.
Yes,
So
right.
in 2 games, you will have had a double turn that won't happen in Age of Sigmar 2. Is how we're going to have to look at that. Which is, I think, incredibly negligible. Which means over the course of a 5-round tournament, you will see 3 less double turns than you would normally.
I'll nod my head because I'll just agree with you at this point.
Yeah.
Assuming the math is correct.
Math is challenging.
Okay, math is difficult. We're moving on from math. This isn't the math show. Nobody
Thank
cares.
goodness.
You got it.
People
Yep.
won't pay me to do math. All right. All right. So question 3. Moving on. Starting with Kevin. Of all the spoilers that we've gotten so far, and in your opinion, they could be either good or bad, which change to Age of Sigmar do you think is going to influence the meta the most?
I said endless spells. And not so much it affecting the meta as much as how many we'll see people have. I said they would affect the meta because you cast it and either you or your opponent has to avoid it or you have to spend resources to dispel it. And as Amanda brought up, nowhere in the War Scroll does it say it's unique. So you can have more than one of it. So I think we'll see a lot of people bringing more and more endless spells than regular spells.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, you get to use those really cool models.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like, I'm not going to be left out. I want to have a giant orange mouth.
I was just gonna say I like the Pac-Man one.
All right, Amanda, what do you think?
I think hands down free summoning is gonna impact the game the most.
That was quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, did you want me to explain why? We already went over that when we talked about it.
We did talk about
So,
summoning quite
I
in
mean-
depth. Okay, sure.
Yep.
Sure.
And then I just thought Magic as a whole is going to affect the meta the most. Not just Tzeentch, but everyone, where we've talked about endless spells, but the unbinding range is 30 inches in the new edition. The default spells, Mystic Shield and Arcane Bolt, got weaker, or potentially stronger if you play Nighthaunt, but weaker, so that'll encourage more of the unique spells, which we're getting a ton of because we learned today that all of the realm artifacts and lures are going to be in match play because it specifically says you list the realm you're from on the top of your army list, basically.
Yeah.
So that means all those spells wizards can pick from if you're choosing that realm. And finally, I didn't really even realize the endless spells, they're actually calling malign sorcery.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yep, as a
Okay.
little side thing. And in terms of battle tomes, is that a separate question?
Second question.
Okay.
Yep, so you're good?
Yep, that's
All
good.
right, so starting with Amanda, the follow-up question is, which battle tome do you think is going to be positively or negatively affected the best or worst?
So I said free summoning, so I think that will be undead and demons. They generally have more summoning in their books, so I think that those guys might be getting a bump
Maybe.
from that.
Positively, the most positively affected Age of Sigmar 2 are going to be demons and undead.
Yes.
Okay. Painful?
No, I mean just based on the free summoning. Not overall.
Oh, this is a whole,
This is
like everything
It's
we've seen.
follow up to the
In the
first
meta.
question.
in the meta from the changes we've seen.
Hmm.
So it's
Well
overall.
then,
Oh, okay.
You want to come
overall,
back to you?
yeah,
Sean.
no, I'll stick with what I said. I think that free summoning is going to be huge, and undead and demons will be impacted
Okay.
greatly by free summoning.
Okay. Sean, what do you think?
I think Tzeentch as a whole is going to get way better with all the changes to summoning. Well,
That's
just to
the
Well,
spells.
that was mine.
Especially with all of their buffs to casting, 30-inch range now, all the new spell lores, which as far as we've seen, they will have access to, because if you're from that realm, you get access to it. And then the fact that these endless spells, you have to deny if you don't want it. You know, a Lord of Change just sits in the back, oh, here comes a purple sun coming at me, and boop, I roll a die, and the average on the d6 is a 4.
Or
Right.
you use your fate dice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well,
say,
no,
I
there
don't
you
want
go,
that
that's a
purple
good
sun
point.
anymore. I'm using my 5 on my fate dice, and then you
Yeah.
roll 2 dice, and you're like, this one's a 5, it's a 10,
10,
goodbye, it's
gone.
gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Tzeentch overall.
Okay.
And that was mine. So
You also think
I
Tzeentch-
thought, based on what I said with the endless spells, that Tzeentch is going to be super powerful in this edition.
Okay. And not even playing devil's advocate on this one, I'm going to say that Tzeentch is actually going to be hit the hardest with these changes. And I think we're not going to see Tzeentch played competitively almost at all, unless it's a completely different list, like no more change host. I'm predicting it right now. I don't think change hosts will be here for the first couple of months as people who already have the army are trying to make it work. And the fact that your opponent now can stop you at 30 inches is going to be what breaks them.
Yeah.
It's too much for them to deal with. The thing that made Tzeentch so powerful was they outranged most armies on casting spells and they couldn't stop them. And then when they could, the Lord of Change just has the better dice rolls. And now I have to be worried about literally anything stopping my Lord of Change. Or the new Synchro Chamber from Stormcast, or even just allying in a Spellweaver from Wanderers, is a 30-inch, once per game, you automatically stop a spell. For a 100-point hero, that's also a wizard. Like, I think the 30-inch touch for Dispel is going to just shut down spell spammy Tzeentch. Granted, being able to summon a bunch of stuff. If Tzeentch has their own table for summoning stuff, that might be a new branch of Tzeentch that we see.
Bless you.
doing type.
Thank you.
But I think that Change Host is going to die with Age of Sigmar 2, which I think is a good thing. Because any list that's always on the top 3 armies of any tournament should have dramatic changes to it.
Like Vanguard Wing.
Like Vanguard.
So we have talked a lot about Change Host, and I'll just touch upon it quick. I still do not understand not what the appeal is, but like what makes it so great. I get the switching units thing you can do, but for the most part, the ones that I've seen, it's like.
Yeah. And I mean, we've even been to a couple of tournaments where people were running Change Host, and I've either walked up and watched the game, or some of us had played against it, and it's
not
like
that scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't
unless
know
they
if
were
it's just
running it
because
wrong,
as
and-
you deal tons of more wounds, and as the game ramps up, they are then teleporting wherever they need to be to score points. Is what I could.
I guess it comes down to the person piloting it is what makes the army good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, that's the case with any army, though.
well, not Vanguard Wing. That's just
Fair
you put that down and you win because you can't get through it. But
And for clarification, I think Vanguard Wing would be fine as is if they changed it back to the original intent, which was a full Liberator unit, which I think the max unit size was 10.
Yep.
That would be fine. Then Vanguard Wing's flying around.
Yeah.
It's doing
that
all
is
different.
honestly the biggest.
Not 30 guys. I placed the first one within 6 inches and then straight
daisy chain it,
daisy chain it, which
So-
I might get called out because I did a little bit of that with my goblins
Or
in the game, but.
or you change Vanguard Wing to be wholly within the unit of prosecutors.
I like
Because
that
then,
one.
sure, you get your 30-man guys there, but you can't have your heroes bunkered in the back and still buffing the entire unit. You have to make some sacrifices. All right. Anything else anybody wants to add? Anything that they think another panel member got wrong or want to add on? No?
I kind of gave my piece about somebody against
All right.
everybody.
So, outlandish prediction time.
Sure.
We're
Yeah.
going to start with Sean. Yep, starting with Sean.
Okay.
Outlandish prediction. What do you think that the next faction-specific piece of terrain we're going to get? An example is the Vortex boat from Deepkin, the Rock Tree from Nurgle, or Wildwood from Sylvanas.
I think it would be really cool. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. Outlandish prediction. Sacrosanct Chamber. They're very priest wizardly like. It would be really cool to get like a chapel kind of thing, or a not monastery, but more just like a
observatory or something
yeah,
magical.
sort of deal.
Like
So
a
like
smaller-
like
Smaller war scry
Friars,
citadel.
yeah.
yeah.
The telescope. and stuff. Okay, so for Stormcast, Kevin, what do you think?
I think I'm gonna go with Skaven here,
Okay.
and I'd like to see like I don't know, like a hole or a rat hole or a nest, something like that. That would be really cool.
That's
What? What?
That's a really good idea. So in the fluff, there's the realm gates, right? The gates that you can walk through to get to different places. And the Skaven just literally dig tunnels through nothing.
yeah. Yep.
They just build
From realm
tunnels.
to realm.
Yep, and,
Yep.
and it's actually a tunnel. It's not instant. Realm gate, you walk in, it's like a teleporter on Star Trek. Then the realm gate, I forgot what it's called. I think they're called like scud holes or something. I don't know. But the rats start digging. They actually have to walk the distance between the realms, so
Yep.
it takes them like generations to show up. And then they don't know where they show up. So one of the fluff ones, I think it was 2+ Tough was talking about this, is where I heard this. They dug up under an ocean near a
Yep.
Deepkin city, and it just drowned all of them.
It was fantastic.
So-
Personally, it was one of my favorites of the short stories that
Yeah.
they
So
posted.
having that represented on the table would be awesome. You just put up 2 little tunnels, and then like your guys may show up, they
Yeah,
might not
they might
show
not.
up. Who knows?
Okay, so you could do like a roll the dice
Yeah.
mechanic
Yeah.
to see if they come or not.
Yeah, and then they could even break the rule of being X inches away from your opponent because
Yeah,
you
because
just
it's-
show up
yeah.
with a unit, and you're like, oh, hello. All right, what do you think, Amanda?
I would like to see skyports for Karajan overlords and maybe give them like a buff to their movement, maybe make their ships go a little faster, or make it so that then you could disembark maybe a little bit farther if you're next to a skyport. I think that would be kind of cool.
Cool. Yeah, Skyport would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything that just could generically also be terrain, I think would be nice. Like the Skyport or like the Monastery Chapel Observatory thing could also just be on the table, I think would be cool. Because I'd like some more Sigmar specific terrain. Like different realm gates would be nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just cool stuff. All right, so thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, feel free to answer any of the questions that we had on the show. And if you do, every video moving forward will be entering you into a chance to win either the Age of Sigmar 2 hardback book or actual physical book, unless they don't have a book, in which case it'll be the General's Handbook. And again, that's thanks to our sponsor, Chaos Orc. And again, you can find them in the link down below.
Yep.
So we'll be giving away 2 books this month. So comment, subscribe, and anything else?
Yeah. Thanks to everyone that helped us hit 100 subscribers already.
Yeah,
like,
we
that's
broke
really
100.
exciting.
That's super great for
Yeah.
being around for about a month. I'm super impressed with that.
Yeah.
Keeping a regular schedule. And I know I keep saying it, but look out for our actual schedule video. It's just, I've been trying to make sure that if we make a schedule, we can stick to it.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, like, it's really nice that we're all local and not having to call this in on Skype or something, but it's still difficult to juggle everybody's
Yeah.
schedules.
Timetables.
Especially when you have tournaments coming up, and we should all be
Yes,
waiting.
and so we'll talk about that. We're gonna try to get an RTD out for next Saturday so that we can keep to once a week. But it is Triumph weekend. We all have to be driving. We're all traveling out, getting a hotel. We're leaving a day early. Plus, the majority of us still have to paint most of our armies.
Yep.
So we'll try to get the video out, but if we don't, I'll put a video placeholder up, and then we'll hopefully be getting a ton of battle reports in, or at least one-on-ones where I'm going to have everybody take notes and try to grab everybody's army lists from the games that they're playing, and we're going to go over them when we get back. And then when Age of Sigmar 2 and General's Handbook actually hit, which is hopefully not next weekend, is we're going to do a live stream on Twitch. We're going to have as many people as we can fit in camera. We might not have a nice green screen behind us because there might be too many of us, and we might have to actually just like use the
At a
wall.
table.
Yeah, it's like something else might have to change, but we're going to be going over it, initial impressions, reviewing the books, going through the entire thing, and
Talking about all the new goodness.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting.
All right.
Very exciting.
Great. So thanks for stopping by, guys. Comments, subscribing enters you for the contest, and again, congratulations to Chris Bozstick for winning the Deep Pin book. Bozstick.
Sorry.
You
Sorry.
won!
Yeah.
You're the winner, and we'll I'll get a hold of you on, because I remember one of your most recent comments. I'll get a hold of you on YouTube and send you a personal message. So take a look for that. If you don't check your inbox regularly, it should be there waiting for you by the time you see this video. Kevin, you want to sign us
All
off?
right. Thank you guys for joining us in the 10th realm, and we'll see you next time. Bye.